This is the first installment of Equations for Lines, an 8th grade algebra lesson. And there are several installments of this. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is slope. So what do you think of when you hear the word slope? What are some words that come to mind? What are some thoughts that come to mind? Some common answers? Hills, sledding, roller coasters, angles, steepness, some measure of, going up or rising or something like that, an angle, a steepness. Those are some common thoughts that people think of when they hear slope. So, for instance, this ladder is leaning up against a house and it's sloped upwards, so you might say that has a positive slope as it's going up. Okay? Some other thoughts, skiing with like a bunny hill or a black diamond. These have different slopes to them, where the bunny hill would have a lesser slope or a flatter slope, and the black diamond would probably be like one of the steepest slopes you can think of. Okay? So how do you calculate slope? So you might have heard these things before. Rise over run is a way to calculate slope. Change in y divided by the change in x. It's another way to calculate slope. Or y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. That's the actual formula if you have coordinates and you want to find the slope of coordinates. All right, here's an example. If you have the points 1, 3, and 4, 9, and you want to find the slope between those 2 points. And a note, it does not matter which ordered pair or point you call the first and which you call the second. It works the exact same way. So I'm going to I'll call this pair the first point and this one the second point. As I said, it really doesn't matter. So this would be x1, this would be y1, this would be x2, and this would be y2. So I'm going to do y2 minus y1, which is 3 minus 9. And then x2 minus x1 would be 1 minus 4. So this is going to give me negative 6 over negative 3, which is 2. So that's a way to calculate slope. All right. What if y1 equals y2 or x1 equals x2? Well, if y1 equaled y2, that means we're looking at 2 points that have the same y coordinate. So for instance, if this were my coordinate plane, those 2 points have different x values but the same y value. So the line through them would look like that. It should be horizontal. And that would have a slope of 0, which is okay. Because remember, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. y2 minus y1 would then be 0 because those are the same value. And it would be 0 over something which is just 0. That's fine. So slope would be 0. Oh. But what if x2 equals x1? That would be like 2 points that were on the same vertical line together. Which would mean, what's the slope of a vertical line? Well, if we put x2 minus x1, and those were the same, it would be something over 0. You'd be dividing by 0. That slope is undefined. Because we're dividing by 0. All right. So find the slope of this line. So there's 3 different points I've placed on the line, so you can use any 2 of those points to find the slope, and it'll come out the exact same because it's just a straight line. And here's the way I would draw that. I would make like steps, and I would say if I'm going from this point to this point, I'm going to go up 2, and I'm going to go to the right 2 4, 6, 7. So that's a rise of 2 over a run of 7. So 2 over 7, 2/7. You could have gone the other way too, which I showed as well. That's fine, it's the same thing. Okay, now what if I had gone backwards? What if I said, I want to go down 2 and left 7? Negative 7, negative 2. Well, that's fine, it would just be negative 2 over negative 7. Again, you still do the rise over the run, which is the exact same as positive 2 over 7. Works out the exact same way. All right, so find the slope of these 3 different lines. I'll give you a moment, and then I'll do all 3 of them. You might want to pause it at this point. Okay, and so if you can't tell, there are points already on these lines. So with this green line, here's a point and here's a point. Sort of a darker bluish green line. All right, so if I draw my steps between these 2 points, this has a run of 3. I'm going to go to the right 3. I'm going to go down 2. Negative 2. Very important distinction to tell the difference between a positive going to the right, a negative going to the left, and then a positive going up and a negative going down. So if I had gone this way, it would have been negative 3 to the left and 2 up, positive 2 up. Those turn out to be the same thing. So I'm going to use the first ones I did. I'm going to say it's negative 2 over 3, negative 2/3. If I had used these other 2 points, I would have said it's positive 2 over negative 3. And these are the same thing. It doesn't matter where you put the negative sign. Negative 2 over 3 is the same as 2 over negative 3, which is the same as negative 2/3. All right, let's try this next one. So it's a vertical line like we had said before. So the rise, it doesn't matter. I guess I'll start here and I'll go up. It's up 1, 2, 3, 4. And the run is 0. There's no left and right movement. Well, 4 divided by 0, undefined. And you could have just looked at that and said it's a vertical line, it's undefined. That's fine also. Okay, and this bottom one. So here's the 2 points I had on there. You don't really have to use those 2 points, but I will. I'll say we're going from left to right, but you could have gone from right to left. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A run of 7, a rise of how much? 0. There's no rise. It doesn't go up at all. It just goes over. 0 divided by 7 is just 0. So horizontal line, slope of 0. Vertical line, undefined slope. And this line is going sloping downward. It's a slope of negative 2/3. Sloping downward. Okay, that's it for this first part, and I'll be back for the second part.